Never underestimate your audience. They're generally sensitive, intelligent people who respond positively to quality entertainment. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm an Australian Stargate fan in my early 30s. I was introduced to Stargate when I was a child by my dad, and Stargate Atlantis continues to be my favourite TV show. I even own it on Blu-ray. When Amazon MGM announced a new show in November with Martin Gero as showrunner and both Brad Wright and Joseph Malozzi, I was in a positive high for 2 months. On June 2nd, my birthday, it was announced that the new show had been cancelled. We don't know the official reason, and there are many potential reasons floating around, but ultimately, none of them make practical sense. Amazon bought MGM because of Stargate, Bond, RoboCop, and other long-running franchises. It was crazy that it took them so long to announce a show at all, and to cancel it after 2 years of development and a 20-week writer's room seems incredibly wasteful of so much talent and a franchise that is still here 15 years after the final episode of Stargate Universe aired. My dad and I introduced my younger brother to Stargate, and I've since gone on to introduce 3 other friends to Stargate. We watched through all of SG-1 and Atlantis over 11 months, meeting up twice a week. We're 5 episodes away from finishing Stargate Universe, and all of us were excited that we'd have a new show to watch together. I could go on about why cancelling the show was a bad idea, and why uncancelling is the best course of action. What I'd instead like to do is go through a few interviews I watched recently, and talk about how they accurately describe the situation in the context of Stargate. All 3 videos are available on YouTube, and I'll link the originals below. I highly recommend watching all 3, though the third one does contain spoilers for Legend of Vox Machina. The first video is an interview that Dean Devlin did recently to talk about the new season of one of his shows, The Librarians: The Next Chapter. Is that the name of the show? Yes. This is the second TV show in the Librarians canon, on top of the original 3 movies. Dean Devlin is one of the 2 original people who made the Stargate movie in 1994.
Marcia, what were your thoughts on The Librarians?
Well, and I represent the side of fans who actually had not watched a lot of The Librarians to begin with. And so my question was, what's going to be in it for me? Am I going to be too many Easter eggs? Is it going to be cool for me? And it is so much fun, so much character development in it that by the end of the first season, it was, I want more.
Well, you brought up that's the trickiest thing when you do a show like this, because you want that someone can watch it who's never seen any of the old shows, but at the same time you want to reward the people who've been with you from the beginning. So it's always a delicate balance, making sure that there's enough Easter eggs for those who were around before, but not so many as to alienate the new people who are coming in and just discovering it.
And when you do that, now I'm going back and watching The Librarians.
Good.
So you got me now.
Our plan worked.
It did. You got Marcia hooked.
Everything Dean Devlin mentioned in this interview is exactly what Martin Gero, and therefore Amazon MGM, promised in the announcement in November. That announcement is still up on YouTube and has over 1 million views. Any show you make in an existing franchise must be a jumping off point for new viewers, absolutely. That's exactly what Stargate Atlantis was, and it ended up with higher viewership numbers than Stargate SG-1 for a time. But ultimately, if someone is tuning into a show called Stargate, they're expecting a certain thing. They're not looking for a fresh reimagining and complete reset of a 30-year-old show. This next video is an interview from one of my favorite authors, Tad Williams. He wrote a book series called Otherland, among a number of other series I need to find time to read. But in this interview, he raises great points about who a writer, or in this case a showrunner, should write for and why.
But just because it is kind of like a big part of my philosophy, that the whole idea is that a lot of times, especially young writers or people who are just kind of early on in their career for whatever reason, are encouraged to sometimes, or feel that they should, think about the market. And I'm always saying, the market, first of all, you don't know the market. The publishing industry barely knows the market, and they're 2 years ahead of you. That's what it's their job to do, and they don't always guess right. So how are you, as somebody sitting at home reading books, going to guess what the market's going to be? Not likely, possible, but not likely. But the main thing about it, though, is that it also gets in the way of using your best audience, and any writer's best audience is him or herself or themself, because you can't judge really, except in an abstract way, in a sort of a political, polling kind of way, what readers want, and what is a reader anyway? I mean, that's the same question. It's like asking what is a voter. Any individual, there are huge differences. So what you can do, however, and this is why I think this is important, what you can do is you can focus on a reader that you truly understand and can even interrogate, which is yourself. And therefore, you are writing for at least one real person that you know how they feel and what they want. And that's better than writing for 100 imaginary people where you're just guessing, or worse, writing for an imaginary market that you have no idea if it will ever be there or not. And then when you round around at the end, you will hope that there are people like you who like the same things you do, but at least you know that if those people exist, you have tailored your work to an actual kind of human being, albeit yourself in this case, but you have found an actual human being and written to that taste. And then you hope that there are enough people out there who like the same kinds of general things, same kinds of writing, same kinds of ideas. So anyway, sorry, but that is something that I do believe very strongly.
Martin Gero's career truly began with Stargate Atlantis. He has always been a fan. Who better to write the next chapter of Stargate but someone who understands their audience? This last video is from a reaction to the final episode of the season for an animated show called Legend of Vox Machina. It's a show that started as a live-stream D&D game. The players then wanted to make an animated show. They shopped around and nobody agreed to make it with them. So they started a Kickstarter. Their goal was $750,000 for a movie. Within a day, they destroyed that goal. By the end of it, they raised over $11 million, with stretch goals for a 10-episode series. It was promptly picked up by Amazon MGM, has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes across 4 seasons, and there's also a spin-off series, Mighty Nine.
There's something about getting to spend such a long time with a character that makes you so endeared to them. And I mean, with Critical Role, you're talking about hundreds of hours of content with characters and with a world and with the actors who play them. And it's so obvious that this is a show made by people who care about the material, and that's why it's so good. I've said this before on our channel, but I think that 90% of the shows that do so well are shows that people genuinely care about. And you can 100% tell when creators have stopped caring about their material.
There is a reason why this show for 4 seasons has a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. There is
100%.
A clear reason for that. Like you said, they care about it. Their hearts are into it. Thank you for caring.
Thank you for creating this.
Yes. This is literally one of my favorite shows of all time. And it is bringing me so much joy and pain and tears.
Yeah.
But that is part of the journey, that you feel connected to these characters. And when a show can impact you so much like that, that's saying something.
One of the best things about falling in love with a show like this and falling in love with characters like this is that it's very rewarding to get to see. And like Meg and I have been joking this whole time about how, season 5 is going to destroy us, but it destroys us because we care. It destroys us because we care, because we love it, and because we're so invested in it, because it's a beautiful story with beautiful characters. It's beautifully acted and written and directed and animated and all this other stuff. But at the heart of it, even when it was just a D&D game, it was still a wonderful story. And I mean, the world is nothing but stories. And that's part of the reason why something like this is so easy to love.
Yeah. Literally, lives are made up of stories. Your life is a story. And there's just something so special about being a storyteller.
Yeah.
Just thank you, all storytellers. Thank you, everyone who creates.
The beauty in this world comes from art, in whatever form that takes place. And I think stories like this, stories in general, are important.
Stories are what keep us going and how we remember those who are long gone.
Yeah. We're all stories in the end.
When showrunners are allowed to create great things, the industry and us as viewers thrive. I've spent the last 15 years trying to find uplifting, positive science fiction and fantasy shows to watch. Most of them ended in the mid-2010s. Amazon, you know what you need to do. I'm Matt. If you would like to learn more about the Save Stargate initiative, please visit savestargate.com and sign the petition.